Is the Nigerian protest hashtag #Endbadgovernance politically influenced? In other words, could it be a political tactic put together by some foreign government, members of the political class, or is it just an organic response from citizens who are convening to pour out their grievances to a failed government? A failed government? Well, in this channel, we have a rule, and that remains unbiased analysis in all matters of politics and power play. And so let's not be quick to make any cheap conclusion, but if you watch this video to the end, that should not be a difficult thing to do. Welcome to Politics and Power Play. And so in this video, we'll be doing a quick review of the over a week-long Nigerian protests against the political leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while placing a close scrutiny on possible indicators that the Endbadgovernance protest were politically influenced. For those of us who have not been positioned to get the updates, here's a quick recap of the protests. On the 1st of August 2024, after prior notification, several Nigerians took to the streets to commence a protest on what has become known as the hashtag Endbadgovernance. The protesters are protesting against hunger crisis in the land, inflation, high cost of governance, and more emphatically, against the fuel subsidy removal, which was announced on President Tinubu's first day of assumption of office and immediately implemented. To be fair, most of the demands by the protesters are justified, and as most experts have acknowledged, their demands remain legitimate. But what began as a peaceful protest gradually snowballed into violence, affecting life and property. Now, for the sake of clarity, it is important to state the fact that until the protests, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in a serious economic crisis. Talk about the food inflation rate, diesel price, foreign exchange rate, and much more. But to put a balance to this political commentary, it is also fair to underscore that the government is not denying all this, but rather has acknowledged the need for an overhaul of the economy. Also keep in mind that Nigeria has found itself in a kind of downward spiral of economic crisis since the early 70s, and as such, it will not be an overstatement to say the economic hardship in the present government is partly an inherited problem that has spanned a few decades. And to throw light on the technicality of the problem, let's hear the political analysis from the Chairman Senate Committee on NDDC speak to the subject.
Men and women of the Niger Delta, the greatest asset of any nation is not in its vast agricultural resources, it's not in its mineral deposits, it's not even in its military might. It is in the people, its population, most especially the young people. Today in Nigeria, it is said that we have a population of 220 million people, growing at a rate of 3% per annum. What that means is, for every year, 6 million new Nigerians are born and added to our population. To put that into context, over the next 8 years, a population the size of England will be added to the Nigerian population of an added population of about 50 million people. Our growth in terms of population is moving at geometric progression, whereas the development of our mineral resources, our agricultural resources, the creation of new economic opportunities for our people is not even moving at arithmetic progressions. I say all that to say this. The challenges we face in the nation today is not as a result of a one-year administration. Rather, it's as a result of successive administrations before failing to correct economic policies and intervene in the economy as they should. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had the political will on day one to correct the policies that were holding us back as a nation. On day one, he removed the oppressive and corrupt fuel subsidy regime. unified the exchange rate. Now, this, of course, has led to severe hardship on the people and the people of this region as well. The brunt of this hardship is being faced by us today, the present-day Nigerians. But if previous administrations had taken the time, decades and years ago, to correct some of these policies, we would not face what we are facing today.
And so, having listened to him, additionally, looking through Nigeria's political history, we find related evidence of her decades-long economic struggle. You may feel free to Google more info on the Economic Stabilization Act of 1982, which took place during the time of former President Shehu Shagari, the Structural Adjustment Program of 1986 during the time of General Ibrahim Babangida, and lots more. But before we proceed, it is of pertinence to talk about protest as a socio-political activity which, without any shadow of doubt, remains the constitutional right of every Nigerian for as long as it remains peaceful. Human rights activist and two-term senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Shehu Sani, who has himself participated in various protests in the past, has this to say.
Stand for any ideals, and democracy and the laws of our land give you that leverage to do that. But what we have seen in the last few days is not a peaceful protest as far as I'm concerned from the northern part of Nigeria. The whole idea was hijacked and the script was changed as far as the north was concerned. Those who called for the protest must have come from Lagos or anywhere, but there were no visible leadership as far as Kano, Jigawa, Kaduna, and all the states that experience violence in the north. It's a fact. Even protest has a rule. The first rule is that there should be reason for which people should protest. Of course, there is hunger, there is hardship, there is suffering as a result of the economic reforms program, which is enough reason for people to protest. Also need leadership. When you have leaders who will lead the flock on the street, then certainly one of the responsibility of that leader is to control the crowd and to guide them. We're going to start protest from point A to point B, and we're going to start from 8 a.m. and end by 4 p.m. Now, that was not the case in the north. So from what we have seen, especially in Kaduna State, where I come from, was that people were called out to the street, and then they were left on autopilot. And now young people use the opportunity to launch attack on public infrastructure, snatch motorcycle and phones, molest people, attack banks, and looted public establishments. And then the new dimension to this is what you have just discussed, was that a day before the last protest, money was shared to youths, and then Russian flags was also shared. That shows that the whole intent of the protest is not simply about the policies and programs of the government or objection to removal of subsidy, but there was an attempt to create an atmosphere where there will be an overthrow of the government. And when you have this kind of situation, you will see that there is someone writing a script for anarchy, lawlessness, and disorder. And it is incumbent on people like us to speak.
His remarks serves as a reminder that there are laid down procedures that should govern every peaceful protest. And based on his political analysis of the situation, it becomes clear that there are questions going on in the mind of well-meaning Nigerians, one of which remains: is the Endbadgovernance protest politically influenced? And I would like you to share your views in the comment section below. And in case you are new to this channel, please ensure to subscribe and hit the notification button for more videos on politics and power play. Now, human rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Chief Femi Falana, has also come out publicly to contribute to the political debate by stating that the protest portrayed some elements attempting an unconstitutional removal of the incumbent government from power, using words such as, and I quote, undemocratic forces, conscious elements introducing a dangerous dimension to the protest, quote closed. In a speech, the legal luminary also stressed the need for more accountability on the parts of the states and local governments. This brings us into another issue that is causing concerned Nigerians to place closer scrutiny on the motive of the protesters. And here's why. With over 570 billion naira released to the states and local government authorities, apart from the regular allocations, and as indicated by Chief Femi Falana, why is much not being said about accountability of the states and local government authorities? Also, why were the protesters' grievances mainly aimed at the president? Think of this: the protesters have more access, at least by proximity, to the governors and local government authorities, and one would have expected to see the protesters hold such authorities accountable. Buttressing this analysis are the words of Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, who in an interview with Channel Television has openly acknowledged that the revenue allocation from the federal government to most states has doubled since the inception of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But despite these evidences, there has been little or no observation being made of protesters carrying placards with inscriptions directed at senators or rep members, at least demanding accountability for the funds meant for things like constituency projects. Or could it be that the protesters were largely uninformed? Again, besides the refusal of the protesters to hold states and local government authorities accountable despite increased revenue allocations received from the federal government amidst other monetary aids, a further element of the protest that continues to raise concerns as to whether the hashtag Endbadgovernance protests were politically influenced are the Russian flags that were flown by several persons in most states in the northern parts of Nigeria. But to understand this concern, in his interview with Channels Television, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State further mentioned that most of the protesters in his state were Almajiris who were less than 7 years of age and do not even understand the meaning of a protest. Going by the latest political remarks, it therefore becomes difficult to accept the fact that with the bulk of protesters in the north being largely uneducated, as seen on TV, that protesters of such caliber will have the political will and effrontery to raise another country's flag without being influenced by either some foreign element or members of the political class. In case you are interested in robust political commentary on issues on politics in Powerplay, kindly click on the subscribe and notification buttons for more videos by this channel. And so to round off today's political commentary, and in order to tie these points together, going down the lane of Nigerians' political history, in 2012, there was a protest with regards to the intended removal of subsidy by former President Goodluck Jonathan, and some experts have said that the protest was one of the main issues that led to the eventual removal of Jonathan from office in the 2015 elections. Furthermore, the recent remarks by political commentator and media expert Rufai Oseni of Arise News concerning that protest further lends credence to the political debate. According to Mr. Rufai Oseni, and hear him.
Better than secret
But I would like
laws.
to ask you, Prof.
You
In Jonathan's time, things were working better than this. Why did you people, join President Tinubu then and the other cohort against Jonathan, where the economy worked, where the economy was the first five for investment in Africa? The GDP was close to 500 billion. There was lower unemployment rates, and there were many things that were working in the economy. So why did you people join him then? Because the former governor has come out to say that you people did that because of politics. That's what the former governor in the APC camp came and said, that it was just because of politics, that the man didn't do anything wrong. So why did you people join him then?
Masses of our people.
Prof.
Gaslighting those who are saying that we must make our country work is anathema. It is wrong.
Prof,
Go on,
it was
Rufai.
your protest like
Yes,
your protests that pulled a man that was putting this economy on a path of growth then out and brought in the APC that destroyed the economy, that in the last 8 years, you have seen a downward spiral. Do you regret the things protesting against Jonathan there? Because you see, the same fuel subsidy you people went out on the street in Ojota to protest then, it's still the same subsidy that Tinubu has removed today. And you called Jonathan a demon that time. So do you people regret what you did in 2012?
Also hear this political commentary by Ned Media.
One wonders what changed. Why is the current administration desperately trying to criminalize protests when they protested at their own time when they were in opposition? They lied against Goodluck Jonathan's administration, an administration that achieved the highest GDP in Nigeria's history. Many Nigerians bought the lie at the time. They rode on the backs of Nigerians and came to power.
These remarks, therefore, of Mr. Rufai Oseni as a political commentary, which were based on his expertise on issues regarding political appraisal, further provokes the thoughts of such possibilities in the mind of well-thinking Nigerians who have been questioning whether the protests were politically influenced. And considering that Nigeria never witnessed any such dimension of protest during the time of former President Muhammadu Buhari, despite critical economic milestones like the Naira swap crisis, which lasted for over 3 months, the prolonged ASU strike that kept Nigerian youths at home for about a year, and in addition to the widespread and alarming cases of insurgency and kidnapping, and much more, the argument therefore becomes, could it be that the same undemocratic forces who were behind the removal of President Jonathan, a man whose government was known for leading Nigeria into economic prosperity that impacted on most Nigerians, are the same forces behind the conscious elements championing the flying of Russian flags? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification button for more videos on politics and Powerplay.